isolated route I traversed with bone-chilling regularity was the desolate path from Vancouver to San Francisco. Most nights, the journey was devoid of any true challenge, inviting me to embrace the darkness and solitude. Nighttime drives held a certain appeal. The scarce traffic provided a sense of eerie calm. With the witching hour at hand, I had witnessed my share of inexplicable phenomena, UFOs, Bigfoot, the whole lot. Yet none of these bizarre sightings ever struck the same chord of terror within me as the enigmatic individuals I encountered wandering the desolate roadside, far from the realms of civilization. My first unnerving encounter transpired during a trip south on Highway 5. Under the haunting glow of the full moon, a woman in a blue summer dress sauntered along the side of the highway, her eyes void of recognition or concern. We were in the middle of nowhere, and my vehicle was likely the first she had seen since twilight fell. Rather than acknowledge my presence, she remained fixated on her path, her face etched with a vacant smile. I dismissed her as a chemically influenced wanderer, a remnant of the Oregon Trail, and continued my journey. She was merely the beginning. These spectral figures were not always present, but they materialized often enough to instill a sense of foreboding. It was as if they were bound to the darkness, for I never seemed to encounter them during the day. Their presence was undeniable once you were aware of their existence, haunting the fringes of your vision as you ventured into the abyss. The other truckers referred to them as Moonwalkers, but I found the term shoulder walkers more fitting, as they always remained confined to the roadside. Their procession was eerily uniform, as if guided by an unseen force. They came in all shapes and sizes, men and women, tall and short, grotesque and alluring. They were a macabre reflection of everyday people. For a long time, I merely observed these enigmatic figures in passing, their existence reduced to a fleeting, chilling moment. A few months ago, I chanced upon an elderly woman who appeared as a specter of death itself. She wore a hospital gown, her gaunt visage and hollow eyes betraying a soul that had long abandoned hope. Her frail white hair framed her face, and her skin was pallid and cold. Yet her smile held a disquieting warmth, as if she had just heard the laughter of her grandchildren. She shuffled along the shoulder with a pace that belied her age, the imagined sound of her hospital slippers scraping the gravelly road haunting me. I felt compelled to continue on, her presence unnerving me to my core, but the memory of my own dear grandmother, now at eternal rest, stayed my hand. I slowed my rig to a stop, and clutching the flashlight from my glove box, stepped out into the cold night. The sound of her approach reached me before she did, the scraping of her slippers growing louder. I checked my phone's map, which confirmed that the nearest town was more than 50 miles away. There was no way this frail woman could make such a journey. I pocketed my phone and, flashlight in hand, advanced toward the source of the scraping. Hello, ma'am," I called out, hoping she would respond. Instead, she continued her silent advance. My heart raced as she drew near, her gaunt form more harrowing up close. "Ma'am, are you okay?" "You're in the middle of nowhere, you know," I managed to stammer. She remained silent, her smile unwavering as she continued her relentless march. My mind raced, desperately rationalizing her behavior as the result of senility. "She's just senile." "Senile. She needs my help," I muttered, trying to convince myself. My feet, however, refused to budge, leaving me with the choice of returning to my truck or remaining rooted in place. As she approached within 10 feet, her wrinkled hands began to rise, her fingers wiggling in my direction like a grandmother reaching for her grandchild's face. She opened her mouth, but no words emerged, only a sickening grin that revealed her pale gums. My legs buckled under the weight of terror, and as I fell to my side, she lunged forward with alarming speed and agility. Before I could process what was happening, her bony fingers had encircled my ankles, and I was being dragged along the desolate road. Her grip was inhumanly strong, and my added weight did nothing to hinder her progress. Her sunken eyes remained locked on mine, and her mouth stretched into a grotesque smile. I kicked at her with all the strength I could muster, and by some miracle, my foot connected with her jaw. The impact was akin to striking solid concrete, but she released her grip despite showing no visible signs of injury. I scrambled backward toward the center of the road, my heart pounding wildly. She resumed her slow shuffle along the shoulder with her hands falling back to her sides and her mouth forming a tight-lipped smile. However, her gaze never wavered, following me with an unnerving intensity as she disappeared from the beam of my flashlight. The sound of her scraping footsteps gradually faded, and after 30 minutes of paralyzing silence, I finally summoned the courage to return to my truck. There was no trace of the woman, but as I sped down the highway, I soon caught up to her. Her eyes were still fixed on me, as if they had never left. The last image of her that burned into my memory was her thin, chapped lips curled into a sinister smirk. Word of my encounter spread among my fellow truckers, and it seemed I was the first to have ever interacted with a shoulder walker. I prayed I would be the last. Since that night, I have seen many more of these eerie figures, their haunting presence punctuating my nocturnal drives. Once, I even saw a child among them. But I vowed never to stop for them again, and I implore you to do the same. The shoulder walkers have changed since that fateful night. They now fix their gazes upon me as I drive past, something they never did before. It is as if the old woman's encounter with me had alerted them all to my presence. I shudder to think what might have happened if I hadn't managed to escape her grasp. But I take solace in the hope that by sharing my story, I may save others from a similar fate. As I continue my lonely treks along the highway, the dread that once lingered at the edge of my mind has now blossomed into a gnawing unease. The shoulder walkers haunt me, their soulless gazes following my every move. I can't shake the feeling that they're waiting for something, a sign or a moment of vulnerability to strike. I've heard whispers among the other truckers, stories of more encounters and inexplicable events. Some say the shoulder walkers are merely lost souls, while others believe they're malevolent beings preying on unsuspecting travelers. We may never know the truth, but I carry on, burdened by the knowledge of their existence and driven by a sense of duty to warn others. I have learned to avoid the gaze of the shoulder walkers as I drive, keeping my eyes forward and my mind focused on the road ahead. But their presence lingers in the periphery of my vision, an ever-present reminder of the darkness that lurks beyond the comforting glow of my headlights. One moonlit night, I couldn't help but notice an unsettling pattern among the shoulder walkers. They were beginning to gather in larger groups, their collective gaze now following my truck with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. I could feel the weight of their stares, a palpable sense of malice that seemed to grow stronger with each passing mile. As the weeks wore on, the shoulder walkers' behavior continued to evolve. Their once silent, stoic march had given way to low murmurs, the whispers of a language unknown to me, yet somehow terrifyingly familiar. At times, their eerie conversations would crescendo into an unsettling chorus that seemed to seep into my very soul. It became increasingly difficult to separate my waking life from the nightmarish visions that haunted my dreams. I found myself questioning the boundaries between reality and delusion, my sanity hanging by a thread. I sought solace in the company of my fellow truckers, but their expressions of concern and hushed conversations only served to deepen my sense of isolation. It seemed that my experience had marked me, setting me apart from my peers and casting a shadow over my once carefree existence. In the darkest corners of my mind, I began to entertain the notion that the shoulder walkers had chosen me for a purpose. Perhaps they saw something in me, a vulnerability that could be exploited, or a destiny that was yet to be fulfilled. The idea both terrified and fascinated me, and I found myself inexplicably drawn to their enigmatic presence. One fateful night, as I sped down the desolate highway, I came upon a gathering of shoulder walkers unlike any I had seen before. They stood motionless, their eyes locked on the horizon, and their whispers were silenced. As my truck approached, they turned in unison, their gazes fixed on me with an intensity that sent a wave of terror washing over me. I felt an inexplicable compulsion to stop, to step out of the safety of my cab and confront the darkness that had haunted me for so long. My heart pounded in my chest as I brought my truck to a halt, the silence of the night broken only by the sound of my own ragged breaths. As I stepped out of my truck and into the moonlit night, the air was charged with a sense of anticipation. The shoulder walkers watched me, their eyes gleaming with a malevolent intelligence that belied their seemingly human appearance. I stood before them, my fear momentarily forgotten, replaced by a burning need for answers. "What do you want from me?" I demanded, my voice trembling with a mixture of anger and terror. For a moment, there was only silence. And then, in a voice that seemed to resonate within the very depths of my being, they spoke. "We have been waiting for you, traveler. You have been chosen." The eerie words hung in the air like a dense fog, and I felt a chill run down my spine. I tried to press them for more information, but they vanished as quickly as they had appeared, leaving me alone on the desolate highway with nothing but my unanswered questions and mounting dread. As it turns out, the trucker had been documenting his experiences, feelings, and thoughts in a journal, which was discovered after he mysteriously vanished. Though authorities and loved ones searched tirelessly for him, the trucker was never seen or heard from again. All that remains of his chilling encounters with the shoulder walkers are the pages of his journal, a haunting testament to the dark and sinister forces that seem to have claimed him as their own. And so, dear viewers, as the darkness descends and the veil between our world and the realm of the shoulder walkers grows thin, we invite you to delve deeper into the unknown with us. If you dare to tread the path of shadows and secrets, give this video a like and subscribe to our channel, where we explore the chilling tales and sinister stories that lurk just beyond the edges of our reality. Become a part of Dark Tides by joining our Telegram group, where you can share your own spine-tingling experiences and bone-chilling encounters. The link is in the description below. Read stories from fellow seekers of the unknown and discuss the mysteries that haunt our world, all while immersing yourself in the eerie atmosphere of our ever-growing community. Together, we shall walk the dark and twisted path that leads to the hidden truths of our world, drawing back the veil to reveal the malevolent forces that lurk in the shadows. But remember, dear friends, once you have set foot on this treacherous journey, there is no turning back. So steel your nerves and keep your eyes wide open, for the shoulder walkers are always watching, and the darkness is never far away. Welcome to Dark Tides, where the night is full of terrors, and the truth is far stranger than fiction.